fans of Formula One keep asking the same question. Does FIA stands for Ferrari International Assistance?
I mean, really, that whole incident that took place was a little unfortunate for everyone that was concerned. But in the end, in my opinion, the stewards made the right decision. The regulation is quite simple. It says that if a person gains an advantage through basically cutting the corner, they normally should have a drive-through penalty. But I think it's 10 laps before the end of the race. Automatically, there's a 25-second penalty.
Okay, now we have the situation. Now we have the appeal from McLaren Mercedes.
Yeah.
And we have another race. And we have to report from another race. And we won't know the outcome before the other race. This is
we
bad.
know the outcome after Monza.
And this is bad for the sport.
But I mean, the bottom line is, what else can anyone do? I'm not defending anybody. I don't think in this case there was a mistake. I think it was very much, you may look at it one way and somebody another. What people, I think, were upset about were two things. Firstly, there was a good race. That turned out good, and then the result was sort of up in the air. That was the first thing. Secondly,
involved in Formula One racing. And their decision could, let's say, decide the World Championship.
Absolutely, 100%. But let me ask you a question. If a murderer goes before a court and the judge is sitting, and he makes a decision to whatever, he's not an expert on murderers because he's never murdered anybody himself. So in these cases with stewards, you just need three sensible people to look at the evidence that's put in front of him and make a decision. Sometimes, I'm sure, wrong, and sometimes right. Exactly the same as a referee in football. Maybe they give somebody a red card, and maybe afterwards they think, well, I was a bit harsh, maybe I shouldn't have given a red card, but it's too late. And possibly, and this is what I believe should happen, with us in Formula One, the stewards make a decision, there should not be any appeal against it. The trouble with Formula One these days, it's too democratic.
You were very harsh to Fernando in your last interview. You said that he's not giving back to the sports enough.
Same with Kimi.
He was same with the Kimi.
Same with Kimi.
But they were both in the last two seasons with Michael in the sport, and they gave pretty much back to the sport.
Yeah, the trouble with these guys, they win the championship and they think that's all they have to do. They owe it to the public to give themselves a little bit more.
Do you think everybody is underestimating Felipe Massa?
Yes. I mean, he was unlucky. I mean, he was leading the race 3 laps to go and stopped. And he's been unlucky this year. He's been unlucky for all his life, in my opinion. Yeah, he's a very underrated driver.
Do you lack the personality in Formula One?
Yeah. We lack the guys with a bit of character. I suppose you could say that people, they don't want to talk to the press or do anything, have got character, but as bad as we thought Michael was, he was much better than Kimi.
Yeah. Do you think that the next season the rules change will make racing more interesting? With cars and all the other things. Again, more complicated technical things that are getting in.
Well, I've just said I think the problem with this business that people say there's not much overtaking is, I mean, I've been around probably too long in racing and it's always been the same. And it's exactly the same with the Grand Prix bikes as well. It's the same thing, more or less. Although it's easier for them to overtake than with cars. But I think there's no incentive for people to make the effort to overtake. They wait for pit stops and hope something goes wrong.